anni ha investito parecchio tempo in Bing, quindi abbiamo uno dei massimi esperti nel settore. Ci racconterà un po' l'evoluzione di Bing e di Internet in generale, quindi come Bing si sta adattando a Internet, e poi avremo una sessione con una demo. Farà la presentazione in inglese, va bene? Ok, un po' per tutti, se no abbiamo... ok? Ci siamo? Ok, comunque sia c'è la traduttrice, se poi volete fare delle domande, volete farmi aiutare, ben volentieri. Lascio la parola a Gurpreet.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Benvenuti a Pisa. Alla presentazione. Bing. Okay, so that's all the Italian. I'm just glad to be here to present Bing at the second Internet Festival in Pisa. It's a fantastic historical city. You know, I learned a lot about the Piazza del Duomo, and you know, of course, everybody knows about the leaning tower, but also a great city where great scientists and thought leaders like Galileo was born and went to university here. Just very, very, very honored and proud to be here. You can read about what I did before and what I do at Microsoft, but primarily I'm part of the Bing engineering team, and I run Bing Global, all local search, video, image, and also general, kind of work on Bing core engineering as well. So what I wanted to do today was share with you where search is heading. Okay? We've had a lot of change of pace in technology, and I want to share where search is, where it's heading, and what the new Bing, we just introduced what we call the new Bing, is going to, it's going with that new direction, and share some even more future and innovative trends when it comes to search. So if you ask me what's kind of our key vision in our application and services group and at Bing at Microsoft, so move. No? Doesn't like it. Okay, I can go like that. That'd be a lot easier. Okay. So our mission, and it has been a very long enduring vision for ever since we got into the search business. Before even Bing, it was called Live Search, MSN Search. It's always been empowering users with knowledge, because that's what users want. People don't search for the sake of just searching. People are searching because they want to find something. They want to complete a task. They want to do something. And because of that, we want to empower all the users of Bing, or people anywhere using Bing, with Bing to kind of, with knowledge that they're looking for. And as the technology trends change, we need to make sure that we are at the leading edge of that technology in helping people find that knowledge. That's kind of the vision we are on. So, in terms of framing the discussion today, I'm going to basically talk about it in what some of the trends are, technology trends today, and what some of the trends we see, some of the trends we kind of forecast, and how Bing is actually going to follow, is either leading those trends or being part of those trends. But before we go there, let's look at what are those big trends are that are affecting search. Okay. So I carefully chose the word the digital re-evolution. I could have just said revolution, because it kind of sounds more revolutionary. But the reality is we've had the digital revolution for a long time. And if I come and say it's a digital revolution, you said, it's happened before. So the interesting thing is there is a continuous digital evolution, and it is constantly revolving. Right? It goes from one evolution to one revolution to another evolution, and that's what what's kind of really happening, and it's happening on multiple fronts that affect search. So the first one, in my view, is ecosystem of devices, right? I just, the number of devices that are out there. You can say, PCs, laptops, iPads, Surface, smartphones, other kind of devices, which don't even have screens, right, which are being run by the same operating systems. So that's kind of like a major, I would say, it's just unlimited number of devices that are coming into the marketplace. So that's one. The second one is ubiquitous connectivity. Now you cannot almost think today, any device you buy, it's either connected, over 3G or 4G or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or something. So there is this fabric which is connecting everything. So that's the other thing that we can assume. Social computing, and I'll talk more about the social computing, but that in itself is causing a lot of change to how we should look at the internet and the web. Next being natural interaction. So we've got, I've got touch screen, I've got keyboards, I've got the regular keyboards, we've seen voice to text, text to voice, but these are some of the kind of what I think the things we have currently. There are a lot more natural user interfaces that are kind of evolving that I'm going to talk about. And then the cloud, that's most interesting. So it is the hub through which all these devices are connected, all these services are connected, and the users, it's kind of the main kind of hub or the point where a lot of this knowledge, this data, this interaction is connected through and happening through. So we're going to talk, that's one very key crowd. The other one is big data. So when we talk about big data, I'm not talking about the millions or trillions of documents, right, that exist on the web. That's kind of like almost the old web. But there is so much data that is being generated through various devices and various services that I'm going to talk about. And that's kind of one major one. Next being machine learning. With this the advent of big data, you basically are generating so much amount of data. We used to talk about gigabytes, then terabytes, now petabytes, and there's so much data, and there is no way that our old ways of doing BI and analysis is going to be able to take advantage or do anything with that data. We need to build machine learning models, right, to be able to understand this data, to extract patterns, and a learning system. So the difference between old rule-based and machine learning, it's a learning system. More data comes in, it actually becomes better. So this is the kind of technology. And last but not the least is consumerization of IT. It's like today I have a phone, it's connected to my portnet, it's secure. I have every device which is connected, and on the same one I'm using social networking, and I'm using personal application, I'm using work application, so that line is gone. The other classic example I want to share is Yammer. We have a social kind of a corporate social network called Yammer. Microsoft acquired this company a long time ago. There are about 10,000 companies on Yammer, and they use almost how people behave on Facebook to share data, share information. They share it in their corporate cloud. It's a cloud-based service, but it provides secure cloud services for various organizations. So that is an example of how a lot of the trends are actually coming into the enterprise, right, and connecting the enterprise. So I'm going to go here through one by one. So in terms of, the range of devices is expanding. How many people have over here have more than one PC at home? Okay. How many people have a tablet? Okay. How many have a smartphone? Okay. So it's just, this just tells you that, the amount of devices that are coming, and they are more, and they're going to be mini tablet, like somebody who raised their hand, I have a mini tablet. But it's just amazing. People have Xbox, things I have not made, other devices that don't even have screens, etc., etc. So it's kind of, this thing is going in, so the number of, the form factors are growing. So why so many devices? Just think about it this way. Because, interestingly, a lot of these devices have evolved and are evolving, and they are doing some special things, right? Some you can type with, some you can talk to, some you can scroll, some you can easy to carry. So all these provide different capabilities that you need at different times for doing different things. Not one device is able to do everything. Now this is interesting because there are devices that have no screen. The Nike sports band has no screen. There are other devices that have no screen. Now the question is, how do you interact with them? So because of these limitations in these devices, you will see that new forms, right, of ways to interact with these devices. If you can't type, you can speak to the device using voice. So there is voice and speech recognition. You can use gestures, right? If you see Xbox Connect, you can see the gestures. There is things, there is the voice to text, text to voice. If there is no connectivity, you have caching. So for every device, the technology is stepping in to fill some of these gaps. But true, as we said, the form factors are going to evolve. Same way, I think the devices are going to evolve, and each device should be able to do more. I think eventually there may be fewer devices, and these devices will be able to talk to each other very well. So they always synchronize through the cloud. So that's kind of the one key part of the revolution that I'm talking about is being caused by this just absolute plethora of devices in the marketplace. So let me talk about is the natural user interface. And the picture we picked is really is to talk about the next generation. Okay? I mean, the way I see kids today interacting with their iPhones or iPads or Surface or Windows machines or Windows phones, it's totally different. You give this thing to the child and they actually start playing, interacting with it. I sometimes see kids doing things on the phone that even I don't know. So the interesting part is, it has become, for us, in my generation, we were trained, we had to take a word perfect class. We have to learn, Edlin on DOS, right? We learned various, so we had to learn how to interact with the machine, right? Today, it's not that case. The way the generation expects, it expects more and more. I mean, you go and stand in front of Kinect, and what things you can do, right, just through gestures and movements, etc., or how intuitive the way things are. People are looking at using these devices in much more natural forms. So there are too many devices. So if you took all this time to learn those devices, you won't be able to do that. So now, these services and these devices are being made a lot more accessible, and the natural user interfaces, right, are the ones that enable it. So you can flip, you can use eye movement, you can speak to the device, right? There are sensors everywhere, cameras on both sides, right? So all these things kind of make things, much more accessible and usable in a very natural sense. So this is kind of one very, very key trend that's kind of happening, and you will see that, in the new Apple iPhone that's come out, with some of the CD stuff that's there. Very, very natural ways of interacting with the device. So the other device, and I wanted to pay a little special attention to this device, is the smartphone. So if any device that in all these devices which is becoming more pervasive is the smartphone. The capabilities of the smartphone in terms of display, in terms of memory it has, the connectivity options, the cameras, you know, and how it's connected to the internet. I'll share some astounding numbers. There are billions of smartphones out there. People are consuming the web and these services and these apps just through their smartphone. In an interesting data point, in India, where there are about billion subscribers of phone, 75% of the people in India will only know the web through their smartphone. No other device, because that's what's the accessible device. If you see how the Nokia 520 is actually doing in India, in Brazil, in some of the other markets, that's people's internet device. They only have that device. And it's causing a lot of people to kind of be able to connect and consume the internet in many ways. So the other example I want to tell you is, if you look at this image, it tells you like everybody is kind of sitting with a phone. Do you think it's kind of social? Not really. Not the way how I grew up and thought it was social. In fact, this looks very antisocial. You are sitting in a group and everybody is going through, you know, their device. And so Simon was giving me an example that in the London subway, if you just turn around, everybody's just doing this. And you say, oh, I'm on Facebook. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm giving status update. So it's very interesting that people are socializing, but not in the way they used to. They're socializing through the web. So it's caused a huge trend, right? Huge shift how. And if you look at the younger generation, they don't talk to people. They just post, you know, social updates, right? And some very strange information about themselves sometimes. Things I would not really share. But that's how kind of like the social thing is. So this phone has actually become our window to the internet and window to the web, which we carry every time, everywhere. You know, I put it by my bedside, and about whenever I wake up in the middle of the night, I look and say, I see these many emails I have. Should I look at it or not? Or put my alarm on this. This is my alarm clock. This is everything. It's my, you know, total window, which I carry everywhere. So with that, some interesting things are happening. I mean, I wanted to share some numbers with you. These numbers are absolutely astounding. That in Facebook, there are 2 billion updates every day. Okay? 400 million tweets on Twitter. Literally, these things are like absolutely connected, happening, fresh. How many photos are getting downloaded? I talk about Foursquare, right? 5 million people checking in. I check in. I actually have almost all these applications on here. And there are so many other applications which I have not even listed. If you look at TripAdvisor, you look at Yelp, right? You look at WhatsApp, all these various social networks and these people giving opportunity to people to connect. This is a major social revolution. So what is happening is a social web is getting created. And there is a lot of users on it, a lot of good data on it. And this is, so there is the old web as we know. This is the new social web, the new social fabric which is being created, or the new social graph is being created that links information about people to people. And one more thing I wanted to cover was context. So this is incredibly key. I talked about natural user interface, but context is so important for search that I will give you examples to show why context is so important to search. One is emotional context. If you see, when you come home, let's say you come home and you are tired, you had a long day. You say Xbox, literally you can do this today if you have Xbox. You come home, Xbox, play music. Now Xbox knows your calendar, knows you had a long day. From it can figure out you are a little tired, right? What music would you like to listen? Right? If you are in Italy, you might want to listen to Giovanni and Levi, right? And some new age stuff. You don't want to listen to, broad kind of thing, because that's kind of figuring out what the context is. The other one is, you came home, if you're a gamer, you want to play games. Same thing, it figures out. You had a long day, you are tired, you don't want to play aggressive car racing game kind of a thing. You may want to play, or the game kind of adjust the level to be from the most difficult to maybe the medium level for you to play, so you don't feel so bad playing the game. So those are kind of contextual signals that can be consumed. Other contextual social signals. The one I'll give you example is, so from your calendar, we figure out, hey, you're going for dinner with friends. Now, few things about your friends that you may not know, that these people like Italian food. That's good. That takes care of one thing. But you also may not know they like cheap Italian food. They want to spend a lot of money. So that can be a signal. When you suggest restaurants or select restaurants, you can take that knowledge from the social network and kind of consume it to get a better experience. And the last is environment. This is very, very key. Time of day, what's your physical location, what season it is. That information can help you get better results. For example, if you're looking for just suggestions nearby for eat and drink, it's 7 p.m. in the evening. You don't want ideas for breakfast. It's 7 p.m. You're not going to have omelets and pastries and coffee. You're going to go have dinner, or you want to go to a bar. So where you are, what time of day it is, knowing a little bit about you, can your search can consume those knowledge and give that. There are a lot of other signals that are there we can get into, but we don't have kind of that much time to go through it. But these are all signals that can help, kind of tune your search. And before I get there, one key point I want to make here is whatever context you have, what you want to share has to be driven by your privacy setting. Because that is key. If you do not want to use certain kind of information, you don't have to share it. But obviously you have to also understand that you will lose the signal in getting more, kind of customized results for yourself. So that's kind of one key thing that we like to preserve. And before I go into the new search, my last slide is about big data. So we know that, you guys all know this, there are trillions of documents, on the web. A lot of them found through anchor text. They're all indexed, and that's kind of the old web that we know. But what is happening, that is a lot of data to kind of go through and mine the information that you're looking for to complete your tasks. But what is happening with big data, with the social example I gave you, there's so much of these photos being generated, updates, check-ins, all this information is being generated. Then on devices, immense amount of signal is getting generated. Where is this being stored? This is terabytes and petabytes of data. That's what we are referring to as big data. And so the big data on the cloud, that is being generated. The question, there are two major challenges that come with big data. Okay? Now with more and more data, how do I find? Right? How do I find more data out of this? And then how do I find to get my task done for my task completion? That is very, very key. Because you're not there going through all the straws of this thing, just you want to see how big data is. It's not that. You want to get something done. And it's an ever-growing phenomenon. The more devices, the more social network, more documents, more signals, right? We have to be able to go leverage this big data. And hence, again, I would reiterate, machine learning is key. Because machine learning is, we are investing a lot in machine learning, not on our web relevant data and continuously evolve and make it much easier to find more relevant results so you can complete your tasks, right? Even in this, what I call this morass of big data. So, search. Now I'm coming back to search. We talked about some trends that can impact search. So I'm going to talk about, what's happening with search. Search has to take a new role, honestly. It can't be the search that we got trained that here's a search box, type in some query term in it, and you get your results. It's just, it's not where search is going to be. I would say that we have to literally take search out of the search box. Okay? And search now we don't have to go to search. Search has to come out of the box and meet us. Okay? In the new context on these new devices. That is a key thing. And that's where we think the new search paradigm, and I will show you how Bing is actually evolving, right, in making that change happen. So this is our new Bing. This is the new logo. You hear a lot of new news about what the new Bing is about. So a few things have happened. Bing as a product's been out for a little more than 4 years in this brand, etc. We've been building Bing in a slightly different way than maybe our competitors have been building. We're building Bing as a platform. We are building Bing as a search inside out. Because we were trying to power not only Bing in the search box, but to get the power of Bing to other devices, to other services, to other partners. So that's kind of one different way we've been operating. And in the second part of the session, we'll talk more about the Bing platform and services part of it. Because of it, for the last 4 years, 48 months straight in a row, the Bing query share has grown as a result of it. 48 years in a row. And as we go 48 months in a row, and as we go into more and more markets, we see the same phenomenon. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but the Kindle Fire, Yahoo, Facebook, now Apple Siri, right, Nokia, all these key top partners use Bing Search. Okay, so because we built it as a platform, we are able to go and power not only our devices, but other services and other devices that from other partners on there. So that's kind of where Bing has been going, and that's what you will see in the new Bing. So in terms of one of the key things, the reason we've been able to kind of achieve this, if you ask me, is I shared the mission, right? I shared our mission, which was empowering people with knowledge. And ours was reorganizing the web for task completion. We want people to be able to be very productive and get a lot of value out of when they use Bing. Because they have to complete tasks, they have to get stuff done. Now if you look at the old web, as I said, trillions of documents, anchor text, kind of what I call a web of nouns per se. But there I talked about so many new webs that just came about. There's a social web, the social graph, right? That just got added. We've got all these devices generating all this information, that data is getting added. So it's growing quite significantly. So the web has, what we also have to do is take what is the digital world and the physical world. As you can see out there, the people, the places and things, they are all physical things. Connecting that with the digital world, conflating this and creating, there's a new connective tissue which we call the intelligent fabric to power the new web, right, and the new search experiences. So that's what is kind of like behind the Bing platform per se. And in terms of what we think is the new search paradigm, the first is the platform. you can't think about just the search and the search box. You have to think about the devices, the operating systems, the applications, etc. that the search platform will power as a service. So search is a service which kind of is inside of all these devices, platforms, and services powering it. The next one is the interaction model. And I've given you examples of the interaction model. In fact, I'll do a short demo which shows some of the interaction model stuff, but I'll also show you some future trends in interaction models as well. And last but not the least is that there is a serious application of the web. It's just not about web pages. It's a lot about apps. It's a lot about deep connection into the content that's in the apps, which are very special purpose. And I will also show you some of the apps on Windows 8.1 in my demo. And then also in the second part of the demo, we'll actually show you more first-party and third-party apps, and how in the new web that because of the platform, the new apps are also tightly integrated and part of the web ecosystem. Okay, so let me just switch to my demo here. So as you can see, this is my sorry, this is leaving. So go into demo mode, hopefully. There we go. So this is my Windows 8.1 desktop. Now if I have to do search on here, I'm just not going to click on a browser. Okay? I'm just going to flip my finger and I'm going to launch Smart Search in Windows. I clicked on this and Smart Search. So I'll give you a very real example to make sure this is all very real. There is nothing hardcore here. So I was going to Pisa, Italy. I've been to Italy before many times, but I've never been to Pisa, Italy. So I want to know more about Pisa, Italy and say, how can Smart Search help me? So I type Pisa. Pisa Italy, I get auto suggest P0. As you can see, this already, now you see how I'm interacting with this. There's no keyboard or anything. It looked at all the documents that were in my machine, on my machine and in SkyDrive, and said, oh, these are documents relating to Pisa. It had one of the images had loaded some time ago, but it shows me a map. It shows me a great rich experiences, tell me about Pisa. Oh, first thing, if I was packing, coming to Pisa, Italy, I want to see the weather, because I want to be appropriately dressed. Right? So I immediately click on the weather, and as you can see, it shows me what's the weather. It's kind of rain showers, you can see it outside. It's given me an hourly forecast, so for dinner time, how are things going to be, right? And then it's telling me maps. Then it's, oh, this is the temperature map, this is the precipitation map, this is the satellite map, and this is the cloud cover, right? Then I can also see historical weather. What is typically the temperature and precipitation in Pisa, Italy, right, from time to time? As you've seen, that from within that same Smart Search experience, right, I went back to, and look what I did, I just flipped. Look at this, nothing. I just flipped and I came back to where I was. So now I know what to pack for Pisa. But then I want to, if I go to Pisa, Italy, I know about, you know, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but I know it's a Leaning Tower of Pisa, but I don't know much about Leaning Tower of Pisa. It tells me where it is in Pisa. It tells me it's 183.27 feet, right? It opened in 1372. All these facts is just available to me. Plus, if I want to see, I can see these rich web blocks with images, etc. of my regular results as well. So that's one interesting thing for me to know. But in case I want to, you know more about Pisa, I can come back, and this time I can launch another application, which is the travel app that comes on Windows 8.1, which will also be available on the phone, etc. As you can see now, I'm in a very rich and fresh content around Pisa, telling me spend my money carefully, the euro is at 1.35, what are the flights, temperature. I can see beautiful pictures of Pisa. I can even see the panoramas. I can go and walk around and see 360-degree panoramas. I've got all the information about attractions, hotels, right? But what it's basically saying is, this app is seamlessly integrated into my search experience. I can browse in and out and interact with it. So great sources of content. So Frommer's, TripAdvisor, the best contents in the business, even Michelin, right? All coming in, all connected to in here. The next thing that, what would I do in Pisa? So I've said, okay, I'm going to go here. This place looks like, this is Santa Maria della Spina. I want to see that. Wow. Definitely one more thing. Maria, can I go here after this? So this is kind of like, you know, where I am. What I want to do next is to go back to my map app here. And this another app that comes with Windows. It tells me, yeah, this is where I am. And I'm in Pisa, and I want to go this time and search for a restaurant. I got to come and eat something. So when I look at Pisa and Italian food, okay, what comes to mind? Pizza. Okay, pizza. So pizza, near Pizza Italy. I click on here in my results. Here comes my local answer. It kind of blends. Here are all the pizza places that are available. It's an interactive map. As you can see how I am interacting with this map. I can pick, yeah, Speedy Pizza sounds very American. Maybe go have that. But then I go to the pizza place. The challenge I have is all the Italian. I already shared with you. Okay? Is reading the menu can be a challenge. So what I show you is I'm going to switch to my phone. Just give me 1 second. And I'm going to launch from here. Now I'm displaying my Windows phone on the screen. I hope all of you can see it. I'm going to launch an application. It's called the Bing Translator. From my phone, I'm sitting in the restaurant, right? And I take this, and I can't understand the toppings. And now you can see that I can read any menu wherever I am, right, without having to. So the key thing is there's a power of these applications and web that's tightly integrated into the devices, into the services, and it's available to me wherever I want it, whenever I want it to get any task accomplished. And my learning was Pomodoro is tomato. Okay, so that was kind of a good learning for me. I'm going to switch out of this. Go back to my presentation. Can you see the presentation? Awesome. Okay. Let me go back to my slide. So the question is, what's next? And I basically talked about a lot of things, how it's evolving into search, show you some stuff. But I'll just telling you that there are a lot of very interesting things happen. I'll just talk about 3 projects here that Microsoft Research, which works very closely with our engineering teams, is working on. First is, we talked about keyboard, right? And the thing is, in 2011, we've been working on this project where from my any device, I can actually project the keyboard. So there's a beautiful projector, and then there is a touch-sensitive camera that can actually, I can project the keyboard and type anywhere if I need to do that. So for certain scenarios, maybe the voice recognition is not at this, maybe you're typing some technical terms, etc. You could go take advantage of it. The next one is an example where this is ex-head of MSR, Rick Rashid, actually talking, and immediately the words, what he's saying in English, are being transcribed. The more interesting part here is what is being transcribed is actually being translated, those words, into Chinese, being rearranged, and in his voice projected in Chinese to the Chinese audience. So a real-time translator, which is working based on machine translation, giving, like, if I was talking in English to you right now, and words were displayed here in English, you could actually ignore to listen to me, and what you would be hearing would be in Italian. So that's yet another example of where things are going. And the last one is an example of, we had about 300 researchers in MSR who signed up to carry a GPS device so we could actually track where they were. Obviously, they wanted to be part of the experiment, and we found out that over 1.2 million points were discovered in a period of a year when they were carrying it around through this. The most interesting thing that came out of it was we could predict where these people were going to be on a certain day at a certain time, based on this data. So this is like generating serious amount of data, or big data, can be used to predict certain things, right? And for them to participate based on their choice. But these are the kind of trends that are evolving when I talk about context, right? There's so much more in context that we don't even know about, or don't even think about, that can come and help you help you complete your tasks, and do searches. So with that, I am going to go to the second part of the session. In the second part of the session, Doug and Claudio are going to come and talk more about the Bing platform. They're going to even show you more capabilities of the apps, etc. of the Bing platform. So more demos, more going in depth. And what we'll do is, I'll come back after that, and we'll do a set of question and answers, Q&A after that. Thank you so much.
Just give us a minute or so to get set up for the demos. We'll get going right away. thank you for your patience as we get this set up. Quick introductions. My name is Doug Taft. I'm a Group Program Manager for Bing Global. And here with me we have Claudio Grego, who's our local program manager here in Italy for our Bing Global as well, for Bing Italy. Quick set of background here. The device that we're actually using here is a Windows Pro, a Microsoft Surface device with Windows 8.1. So it's Surface Pro, Windows 8.1. It is running the Italian version of Windows 8.1, and it's also from a Bing settings perspective, using Italy as the locale for Bing. So, first off, just a quick recap. You all were here through Gurpreet's presentation, and thank you, Gurpreet, for setting this up. But I wanted to talk just briefly about that Bing platform. One of the items that Gurpreet touched on is there are trillions of documents and trillions of URLs out on the web that we bring together and organize in our index. It actually helps us create our index. There's billions of entities. We talk about the people, the places, and the things, but billions of entities out there that are somehow connected with billions of facts. So we actually bring those facts together in this meaningful graph to be able to potentially point out relationships that may or may not be quite obvious right at first. But with the information on the web and then the entities and the facts and everything, that coupled with this concept of the natural user interface and new ways of interacting with the devices, whether it be voice, whether it be visual with gestures and such, those come together and really create this digital representation of the world for you. Now that collectively on the bottom is our Bing platform, bringing all this information together and then enabling experiences through the devices and services on the top end. So whether we're talking PCs and tablets, or the phone, the television, through Xbox and such, Office, information on the cloud, all of this comes together to create these rich experiences that, coupled with the platform that Bing creates, to enable the information consumption where you are, when you are, within context. And the key thing here is, and Gurpreet mentioned it before, search really is changing. It's not anymore about just typing in information into a search box. It's not about just finding information. It's much more now about doing and enabling you to do in that activities. So with Windows 8.1 and the Bing platform, it really allows us to reimagine, if you will, the digital surface area and how we present this information. So that the combination of the Windows device with the Bing platform underneath, that coupled with the applications that Gurpreet was talking about, really creates this immersive and rich experience that allows you to consume this information where you are. So Microsoft, of course, has a number of first-party applications. We've got our weather app, a travel application, which you've seen some of those in Gurpreet's demo as well. There's news, there's finance, we've got a new food and drink app, and a health and fitness app out there as well. The translator you saw in action on the phone, we're going to see a little bit more from a Windows 8.1 perspective. And of course, the sports and the maps, all of these come together within this experience to create, as I said, this elegant and immersive experience on the Windows 8.1 device. And of course, from Microsoft's perspective, keeping with our history and keeping with our culture, we are not all about just that first-party ownership of stuff. We're creating this platform that can be consumed by the developer community through the services and through APIs to generate as much of this creative experience as possible outside of our Microsoft world. As a matter of fact, actually in the Build conference this year, if any of you had seen the information from the Build conference, we did actually announce a whole new set of services for the developer community to build on top of our Bing platform. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into the app experiences. I wanted to show you some more of, a little bit deeper of what Gurpreet was talking about before. So the first thing we are going to do is we switch over. Gurpreet was talking a bit about finding restaurants and things of that sort, and he talked about pizza as an example. I understand actually that potentially one of the best places to get pizza potentially might be in Naples. Naples has got some fantastic pizza. My friend Claudio here actually recommended a restaurant to me. It's actually called Pizzeria Lambo Due, if I say that correctly. So if we're going to head out to Naples to actually find this information, find this restaurant. First thing I'd like to do is have Claudio bring up the travel application, so we can actually learn a little bit more about Naples. So we're going to do a quick search for Naples. And the first thing you'll notice as it comes up, great content, rich information, rich pictures. We're able to scroll through and see that enormous amount of information that Gurpreet had showed earlier. One thing I want to look at first off was the weather. Looks like the weather tomorrow might not be so bad. If we kind of open up the weather app, to see the split screen experience that we see, so we can actually remain within context here. One interesting thing about weather, of course, is it's not necessarily an exact science. There's different models, different forecasting models and such, and what we do within our weather application here is we bring in information from multiple providers, so we're actually putting the power into your hands so you can pick which actual weather forecast you think is more accurate one. You can look across and see multiple providers here and find out a little more information about that, about what's going on there. So weather doesn't look too bad, so maybe we can actually make this trip tomorrow. So let's go back to travel for a second. And as we continue to scroll through, one of the items that Gurpreet had pointed out were these 360 panoramic views. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at one of these pictures. And one thing I wanted to point out, there we go. As we talked about the natural user interface, we can scroll around this application or this particular picture. If you notice what Claudio is doing here, we're actually just moving the Surface device. And we're able to explore this panoramic picture just based on the sensors from within the Surface device. Again, bringing this natural user interface to you. Of course, you can still zoom in, zoom out, and scroll around with your fingers if you like. But this is just one example of some of the powerful things this natural user interface can do for you, what this particular Surface device can actually do for you. So we're going to head back to the travel app. And as we continue to absorb this information, looking at the additional pictures, there's some great overview information here on the left-hand side that we look through. One of the things I happen to notice, and again, I've been to Italy once before, I haven't been to Italy many times, but as I love to travel around, I noticed Vesuvio appears from a word perspective. I'm familiar with Mount Vesuvius, very famous volcano. So maybe we can, as we're doing a trip to Naples, maybe we can actually make a side trip to Mount Vesuvius. So let's go ahead and bring up the map and take a look at this. So as you can see, we're able to understand potentially, of course, the basic map information, understand how far something is. Potentially we'll be able to make a side trip here if we're going to go out for dinner to our Pisa di Lampo Due. But I'd like to also switch here for a second over to the aerial imagery. And one of the things that we are constantly doing is updating our aerial imagery, the high resolution images, so we can zoom in and take a look at some of this and see just how cool Mount Vesuvius really looks from an aerial perspective. Definitely want to be able to visit this. It's an awesome looking place. Who knows? Might be able to make it there given the distance, but going back to our pizza, I definitely want to visit that Pisa di Lampo Due. That's one of those things as we get down to Naples. So let's go ahead and do a quick search and find where Pisa di Lampo Due is. So there it is in the middle of Naples, although it does look like it's a little bit of a ways away. Within this information that we've actually got from the local information here, you'll notice that we've got the icons underneath. Of course, one of the icons allows me to pull up the internet page. Let's go ahead and pull up the internet page for Pisa di Lampo Due. So first thing I notice, of course, not speaking Italian, this is the whole web page in Italian. That's probably great for all of you. Fortunately for me, it doesn't do a whole lot of good. But as Gurpreet showed earlier on the phone, we've got the translator application on the phone. The translator app is also certainly built in and integrated with all of the applications in the Windows 8 device as well. So if we take a look at some of the words up here, I happen to see pizza, so we're going to swipe across that and open up the translator and just see this in action. What the translator allows you to do is it's going to auto-detect the source language and understand what source you are coming from. You can pick the target language, and in this case we're picking English so I can understand what's going on, and translate that particular sentence. Finally, the real Neapolitan pizza pizza, so obviously this is one of those things that I need to make sure that I do. So, restaurants, always very busy. We're going to need to call and make a reservation here. As we go back to the map, you'll notice the other phone icon here. As applications are integrated across the Windows 8.1 environment, also integrated in this experience is Skype. So if we just go ahead and click on the phone, it allows us to bring up the Skype experience. We can do a quick auto dial from within context here and go ahead and make our reservation at Pizzeria Lampadule. So at this particular point, I'm not going to bother Pizzeria Lampadule with a phone call, so we won't make that reservation, but it'll give you an idea of what we're doing here. So we're going to leave the travel app for a second, and now that I've got pizza on the brain, potentially that's one of those things I can actually fix as well. Love to understand a little bit more about that. One of the applications that we touched on earlier as well was this food and drink app, so we're going to go ahead and bring that up as well. Now, the food and drink app here brings together, the world-renowned and well-known providers for recipes and information, prep instructions, etc., and allows us to kind of pull that all together in one place. And it's not just about food. It also has wine, cocktail information, etc. But if I wanted to, say, cook my own pizza, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick look for pizza and see what kind of instructions I have here. And it may be something that I actually want to make. And there's all kinds of recipes, as I said, out here. But one thing I want to point out here is, again, with the natural user interface, we saw the sensors in action as we were actually browsing through the 360-degree and the panoramic images. But let's say I'm actually making pizza, and I could be up to my elbows in flour as I'm putting together this dish. I don't want to be touching my screen or hitting my keyboard with, dirty fingers and hands full of flour. So one of the other things we've done with this is take advantage of the camera that happens to be on this particular device. And it's not just the Surface that can do this, but in this particular case, the camera of the Surface allows us to basically just swipe through the instructions without ever touching the device. We can use the gestures, the natural user interface gestures, to be able to go through these instructions and finish the preparation for this pizza without destroying my device here in the meantime with all the flour on my hands. So a good example of the natural user interface in action. So from a food and drink perspective, the other thing that kind of comes to mind here is the health aspects. I want to understand a little bit more maybe about the nutritional aspects of this particular dish. So another one that we have, a relatively new application on the Microsoft side, is the health and fitness application. And what health and fitness does is it, again, brings this range of information together. It's got nutrient information, it's got food profiles, it has an enormous amount of information about exercise and fitness, so I can actually remain in shape and understand a little bit better on the health side. But with all that pizza, potentially one of the things I want to do is kind of burn off some calories. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick search for the pizza and see what kind of information we've actually got on, say, a pizza margherita. So as we bring that up, we can see that it's got the calorie count, it's got a bunch of information about the information about that particular, the health aspects of that particular dish. And I'll tell you what, it looks like I'm going to have to do a lot of walking to actually burn off those calories. Might need to exercise a bit here. But it's not just the information about the nutrients and everything else too. The other application or the other information set that we've got within the health and fitness app, we can actually look for symptoms. Say maybe I ate too much pizza in this particular case. So Claudio is going to kind of run another quick query here and find out some information about my stomach's not quite feeling all that good. So again, collecting this enormous amount of information across from both third-party providers and across the web, we're bringing together in an immersive experience. Now, if my stomach wasn't feeling all that good, actually, one of the things that my Italian friends have actually told me here, they taught me another Italian phrase. I didn't even know as much Italian as Gurpreet does, but one of the ones that they didn't teach me was "Canta che ti passa."
Canta che ti passa.
Canta che ti passa. Sing and you will heal. So I figured that's worth a try here. So we're going to go back actually to the core of Windows 8.1, and we're going to bring up the search. And I would actually like my friend Claudio here to maybe recommend some music to me, recommend an artist or some songs, some Italian songs here.
Let's see, you should be famous Italian.
So as as Claudio is actually doing this query here, one of the things I do want to point out, and actually Gurpreet did talk about this in his earlier demo, is this search experience here. And yes, you're typing in the information in the search box, but in a Windows 8.1 experience, this really is what we call Windows Smart Search. It actually is bringing together and getting information from the device itself, looking through the documents and the information that I have on the device. It's looking at my cloud. So if I have information, whether it's documents or images that could be stored in the SkyDrive or something, it's bringing that information together as well. It's bringing information from the web. So all of the information structured in those trillions of documents that actually happen to be out on the web. And it's also bringing information from apps that I happen to have. So whether it's in the cloud, it's on the device, it's in the applications, or it's in the web, this Windows Smart Search that's powered by Bing underneath actually is bringing all that together in a unified experience on the desktop here. So as we've pulled up Giovanotti, excuse me, you'll see here, this is what we call on the Windows Smart Search. This is kind of our hero experience. This allows us to actually bring all this content together. So what I'd like to do is, in this particular case, is show you this information. As we talked a little bit about the applications, the app experience, you notice that we've actually got Wikipedia here. We've got information through the experience from the web, but this Wikipedia happens to be an app that's installed on this device. So we can click through and actually get the detailed information from Wikipedia as well about Giovanotti, and actually see that app integration across the various applications on the device. Now, I actually want to start listening to some of this stuff. So if we go back to the experience, one thing I do want to show you as well, as with 8.1 bringing this cross-application experience together, we were able to either click on one of the songs, and what this is going to do is bring up the Xbox music experience and actually allow us to seamlessly then transition to listening to music in this experience. Now, Xbox is awesome if you're familiar with the Xbox music experience. It follows you where you go across the devices and such. So whether you're working on the Windows 8.1 Surface here, or you've got your Windows Phone, etc., that music allows you to follow where you go. And as this loads, we're able to actually listen to the song. We're going to go.
It takes a while. Yeah, it depends on the
So as I said, the key thing here is from a Windows 8.1 powered by the Bing platform, right? This Windows Smart Search experience brings together the best of the web, brings together the information from your device, from your cloud, and from applications all together in this one experience. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move back over to the slide deck for just a second. I do want to point out here that it's not just about the Windows tablet. We've actually showed you the Windows 8.1 experience and the information with the platform underneath that. But of course, Bing as a platform also powers the Windows Phone experience, if you will. We've got a number of applications on the Windows Phone that actually are very similar to what you're actually seeing here. We've got a very similar immersive experience on the Windows Phone device. There's the dedicated web search, there's the local and the media. As we get this back, the local media sections. Of course, with the phone, you've got all the voice commands. I can actually instruct it and tell it to do various things. We've also got something on the phone that's called Bing Vision. Bing Vision allows us to use the camera on the phone. I can scan QR codes or barcodes. I can look at CD or DVD covers and even books, and just grab the snapshot, recognize that, and then bring up the information about that particular entity and item. And it's not just also about the Windows Phone. As I said, from a cultural perspective, Microsoft is a platform company, and we actually develop these services for third-party innovation as well. So many other phone devices, we'll go to the next one, are also supported as well. Gurpreet actually touched on the fact that the iPhone, the Bing platform, is actually powering Siri now. So there's the rich web experiences that are available from a Bing perspective through all the different phone devices as well. It's also Xbox. If you think about Xbox and Connect, then Xbox and Connect is a fantastic example of that natural user interface. So I can talk to my Xbox and actually do searches. I can search the web and bring this information together, whether I'm talking or with the Connect doing the gestures and actually moving around that way. There's also Office 365. So Bing as a platform is able to bring in information, and the news search or the Bing search within the Office documents, within Word, you've got maps that are actually integrated into Office as well, being able to bring the live maps into the experience. The map experience is also integrated with Outlook, and then of course bringing in pictures or videos directly from the search information directly into your documents. So we've touched on just kind of scratch the surface here of some of the applications and some of the experiences that are available with Windows 8.1. The Windows Smart Search experience powered by Bing is kind of at the core of this, and it does go across not only the Microsoft devices, but the whole developer ecosystem as well, from a creativity perspective there. So that's it for the demos. What I'd like to do is get Gurpreet back up here, and we are open for any questions and answers. If there's any questions that you have, I'd be happy to take those now. But certainly we'll be around as well for the next couple of days, and if you want to catch any of us, we can answer questions there as well. Any questions at this point?
Se avete delle domande in italiano abbiamo un interprete per Gurpreet e Gurpreet.
Posso parlare in italiano?
We have a translator.